We are now standing at the Singapore History Gallery. It is the largest gallery in the National Museum of Singapore and covers 700 years of history, from 1299 until present. Have you ever visited this museum? This museum is special because it was the very first one in Singapore, opening in 1887. What is interesting is that when visiting the National Museum of Singapore, we not only learn about Singapore's past history, it can also help us explore new ideas and feelings, make connections to others, as well as inspire and relax us as we view or make our own art. Visiting this museum can turn you into a time traveler. Let's take a look at the oil painting from 1851 by John Turnbull Thomson. Can you guess where he was standing when he painted it? Take a close look at the buildings and surrounding landscape to get a clue. Maybe you can ask your parents or grandparents to help you. Did you guess that this church was St. Andrew's Church? How about that hill in the background? Today we know it as Fort Canning Hill, but back in 1851 it was called Government Hill. The fort was only built in 1860, after this painting was completed. Where do you think the artist was standing if he could see all of these landmarks in the distance? If you guessed somewhere near the Padang, you are right. This painting is titled the Padang in Singapore. We call this place the Padang, which is the Malay word for an open field. Standing here, we're traveling back in time to see what the Padang looked like 169 years ago. So let's look even closer to see who we can find visiting the Padang back then. Do we recognize anyone? Could any of these people be one of our ancestors? What are they doing there? We can see different groups of people in the foreground. For instance, here is a group of Indian soldiers and workers. Do you see the man holding a spear? He is an orang laut, pictured with his family. They were the indigenous sea people living throughout the Riau Islands in Singapore. We can also see a Chinese family taking a stroll on the Padang. Did you notice that the man has a queue, a long hair braid, a common hairstyle in the day? To the right, we see two men in turbans and silk robes. Could they have traveled all the way from Arabia to Singapore to do business? In the middle ground, we see several people on horseback. It is likely that the European man sitting in the horse-driven carriage was William J. Butterworth, governor of the Straits Settlement from 1843 to 1855. What activities are taking place even further in the background? Can you see the tiny figures of people playing sports and riding horses? From all the clues in this painting, we learn that the Padang was bustling with activities. It was a place where many kinds of people came to meet up or to play. Now let's journey forward again to the present. Have you ever visited the Padang? Today it is used for many special events like the National Day Parade and the Formula One races. But if you were a city planner, how would you organize this centrally located public space in the future? Think about these questions. What kind of activities would you like to see happening every day at the Padang? Would you add any buildings or change the landscape? Who would visit your Padang? How would you get visitors, both local and international, to interact with each other? What would make your Padang the most special, popular meeting place in all of Singapore? The National Day Coloring Competition gives you the chance to show how you would make the Padang a great place for people to connect in and enjoy the center of the city. You will receive a coloring sheet based on the old landscape painting we have been looking at. It is not exactly a coloring sheet, as most of it is blank. This means you have the chance to draw your plans for a new vision of the Padang. Younger artists, 6 years and below, and 7 to 9 years old, will also receive a second coloring sheet depicting images from the original painting. They can then color, cut, and paste these pictures onto their Padang if they want. inviting visitors from the past to see their new version of the Padang. Older artists between 10 and 13 years old are invited to create their own original view of the Padang as they wish it to be used in the future. All artists should decorate the frame around the painting. Stadler, our sponsor, will be awarding special prizes for the best ideas in 3 categories based on age. Submissions must be received by August 1st, 2020 at 11:59 p.m. through our online form. You can take a picture of your artwork or scan it, but your file size must not exceed 7 MB. Depending on the COVID guidelines, the winners will be announced on National Day, August 9th, either online or in a prize presentation at the National Museum of Singapore with representatives from Stadler. Let me give you a few tips about making your own artwork. Your task is to show us your vision about how the Padang can be used in the future. You are the artist and can create anything you like. The most important thing to remember is to put your heart and soul in your picture and make it come alive through drawing and coloring. Also, enjoy the process of making your art because it connects us to our feelings and each other and brings a lot of relaxation and joy to all. We look forward to seeing your Padang